that has to be really hard to watch something like that play out in front of everybody who has strong opinions
Yeah.
about you and they don't know you, and to
But they
villainize somebody that quite frankly has never been a villain to anybody in their entire life. Like,
yeah.
that's insane.
And people don't think about how hard that part is. You
Yeah.
know, when they're giving all these opinions,
Hmm.
it's like you don't stop to think that what if she's not like this at all?
Hmm.
And this is how TV painted her.
Yeah.
Like, how hard is that?
Yeah.
And she's still going.
Yeah.
You know, like people were like, oh, you know, you didn't even like him and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm the one that got my heart broke. But y'all don't stop to
Yeah.
think about that and like how
Yeah.
hard that is to carry. Like, I'm the
Yeah.
one who was committed to this relationship. I'm the one who really wanted marriage. I'm not the one who just woke up one day and changed my mind about wanting a relationship. You know, like
The internet won't let me be great. Guys, listen, sorry about the lighting. I'm in my hotel room, so the lighting's slightly different. But let me just say this first and foremost. I want to say this her name now, Curate on Instagram. Karen came out and told us some truths about how, in her situation with her and Miles, which she confirmed they are going through, I believe, a separation divorce. But she wanted to obviously clarify a few different issues as well. My internet does not want me to be great. It's crazy. I'm telling you. Everywhere I go, the internet, I feel like, do you know what? I think it's my laptop. I don't even think it's the internet anymore. I think it's my laptop. I'm going to have to ditch this laptop. The battery just don't be working the same way. So apologies if it's a bit slow. I will try and limit as well what's happening. But okay, so in all honesty, the situation with Karen and Miles, she came out, told us her side of the situation, and I want to be very, very real. The one thing I didn't hear in any of the interview for an hour and 20, and I'm going to concise this, I'm not going to do very long. I'll do a longer breakdown later on. The one thing I didn't hear in all the conversation was her accountability. Nowhere in a minute, in an hour and 20 minutes, did I hear Karen be accountable for what she had said and done during the course of the marriage, right? But the whole entire time, Miles was defending her, saying that, the edit was bad and the edit was this and the edit was that. But nowhere did we ever see that Karen actually was going to be accountable for her behavior, right? So for me, I was a bit like, yo, if you're not going to be accountable, sis, then, what are we doing here? Right now, I want to be very fair. She pointed out a few things about, I think about herself and no, about Miles. I think she felt like with Miles, he was the good guy, quote unquote, nice guy, etc., etc., and that was what played into the situation, which is fair. I think that is clear and evident that Miles was a nice guy. She also let us know that there were that part of the situation too. She already had some past information about Miles, and so she already had a predisposition about Miles as well, right? So she already had an idea of who he was because she saw him before the time. And I was like, okay, that's fair. We understand that you saw Miles before that situation. That's fair. You already had Miles, an idea of Miles and who he was. That's fair. Okay. Um, but the reality of the situation is there was no accountability, literally zero. An hour and 20 minutes, none. And the clip I just played to you, she was talking about saying, I got the villain edit, and I feel like, I got my heart broke. I was committed. I wanted a marriage. I didn't wake up one day and want to suddenly not want to have a romantic relationship, and didn't want the marriage anymore. And whilst I believe there's a lot of truth to what she's saying, and I made notes, guys. Look, I went through it, and I went note by note, timeline by timeline. It's how I do my edits, right? So I go through it, I give you timelines, and then I write it down. That's how I do it, right? And I looked back at my notes and I said, not one place did she ever say, you know what, I made a mistake. I was a little bit too harsh in the marriage at points in time. I know I said some things on the show, da 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 da. Literally nothing at all, nada. I mean, not even one speck of introspection. And what really frustrated me more is that the interviewer is a friend of hers or someone who knows her very well. One thing I hate about interviews is please stop talking. I don't understand interviews where you're interviewing somebody and we don't want to know about what you do. We want to know about Karen and you talking. It's not me trying to, not trying to be harsh on the woman who was doing the interview, but where the interview, she was talking too much. I'm like, this is Karen's interview. We need Karen's voice. And at points, she actually cut off from Karen as well. At certain points, she cut off Karen. I was like, wait, hold on. Karen's just getting into her stride. She's just explaining certain situations. She's trying to get deeper into what she's feeling. And you are interrupting and telling us your story. I don't care. I don't want to know your story. I only came here for Karen. And again, it's me probably being a bit harsh because of the way that I like doing my interviews, and I'm kind of probably projecting onto the interviewer. But I just wanted her to stop cutting her off, stop doing it. She did it on several occasions. I was like, every time she did it, it was irritating and jarring because literally Karen would be in movement, saying how just about to say how she felt, and then boom, she cut her off, and I was like, wait, what the hell? Don't cut off Karen. She's trying to have a conversation. She's trying to say her piece. Okay. Now, so yes, back to what I was saying. Obviously, I think one thing that was really interesting is she gave a background, which was really good. Right, the interviewer did a really good job of getting her background and giving us a bit more understanding. Karen grew up in a household where she became a mature person. Very, very quickly. In her childhood, she had to look after a blind woman who looked after her father when he was young. So she actually became a carer before her time. As a kid, she became a carer. Okay, so as a young girl, she's looking after a grown-ass woman who's gone blind. Her older sister, who's 6 years older, her name is Crystal. She was doing a little bit of the caring, but when she went off to college, I think that was it. She was like, I'm out, and I get it. But for Karen, it fell upon her and her mother, and she mentioned something. Her mother was somebody who, also she felt like was fading into the background. So I think she saw herself, and she said she learned how to small up herself. And I really did empathize with that point of view where she said I had to I almost minimalize myself. And I said this to a friend the other day as well, that I felt what she felt. That is exactly how I felt. I minimalized myself a lot of times. And it's because you got an empathic spirit, or you got you're a very caring person. I'm not going to say Karen is a caring person. Oh no, she's a caring person. She genuinely is, right? She's a caring and loving person. What she doesn't realize is she's staying in perpetual victimhood. And the problem with that is when you stay in that place, you forget that you can be a victim and then become a perpetrator of the very things that you said that other people are doing. That's what I feel. That's what I see Karen. In her past relationships, yeah, she was a victim, but she didn't realize in this relationship, you now have become the perpetrator, and she can't cope with the idea that she is the problem and that she was the villain in this relationship. I don't think you were the villain in other relationships, them cheating and doing whatever they were doing. I don't think so. You know what I mean? If they were cheating and dogging you out and being, bad about it, then you weren't the victim. Then you weren't the villain in that story. No, you were the victim. But in this story, you are the villain. Right? In this story, and a lot of people, and I specifically says I see this more with women, just because maybe I've identified with women more in terms of listening and hearing more of their stories. But a lot more times I hear this with women because I'm interacting with women more on this level, that they are a victim in a relationship, a victim in maybe several relationships, and they get into another one and they become the villain, and they can't handle it. In fact, I did a video on this. I did a video, I think 2 years ago. I called it when nice girls go bad, right? That the opposite of the nice guy is this nice girl. And basically what happens, the nice girl who's been hurt by previous boyfriends or dogged out and has been a victim, then turns the perpetrator in a relationship, and she can't cope with the idea that she's the problem, because she's always had the shield of victimhood. Oh, I'm hurt. I've been the one who's been done dirty. I've been this situation. It's etc. etc. And they can't cope with the fact that they are now the villain. You are the villain. It's okay. Learn from it, move past it. You know what I'm saying? Learn from it, move past it. I didn't say that Miles was innocent. So anybody saying that I'm saying Miles is innocent, I've never said Miles is innocent. I did videos at the time when Miles in it. Miles is not innocent. My key thing is this: there is no accountability from her part. What we saw on the show was not faked. It was addressed even after you'd done the action. It was addressed after. It wasn't faked. It wasn't edited. Take accountability. And that's been always my biggest issue with Karen. She's still trying to make herself this victim. Now, we got a really good background, and I can't wait to really break it all the way down for you guys, and fully break it all the way for you guys so you can actually see. But, you know, yeah, I mean, for me personally, there was no address or the fact that you were questioning his masculinity on several occasions, right? Also, let's not forget, both her and Miles, in this instance, kind of were lying because in her interview, she said, oh, the age was a big thing. In fact, the age was a big thing because, you know, she said, how many men are actually mature? How many men are actually, how many men at a young age are actually mature and can actually, you know, be at that place? So age was a big issue then, right? But when we see their video later on, when they finally married and after, when they're talking and there's questions that they posted them from the audience and they answer a question about age, they said, oh, I mean, had a little bit of a thing, but nothing too heavy. So you both were lying. The age was a big issue. And we knew that already. Like, stop pretending as if editing tried to edit you out completely. No, you were frustrated. You didn't trust the process. She didn't even trust the experts. He said the experts were out of touch. She said the experts were out of touch with the fact they were questioning you and calling you out. Were they really? Now, let's be honest. We already know the process is jagged. The process is jagged. They put you with people that you don't really need to be with, right? And she spoke about her anxiety and the fact that she was also anxious and she was also depressed. You know, in some instance, I'm like, baby, okay. What you want to do? Like, okay, what you want to do? What do you want me to do about it? I know you was depressed. I know you was anxious, but that doesn't stop. That doesn't mean you have to start being you have to start being nasty about it. Do you see what I'm saying to you? It's not an excuse for the way you were talking to this man, right? At points, it was toxic. You were saying you wanted a man to put you in your place. You were questioning his masculinity. Even not even that. In a part of the section of the video, she admitted that Miles wasn't even her type. Now, it wasn't her admitting it. It's okay. I'll see if I can find a clip for you guys. I'll get it for you. I've got the times. I've written it down, so I don't have to even go far for it. I just hope the internet will hold up and allow me to do this work the way I need to. Okay, so let's just
like to my best friend. And like y'all know,
and then if your best friend would have kept it to herself, you probably would have been like, "Girl, you out of line for that," because you know this ain't my type.
Right. Well, not only it was, and it wasn't even about like that. Like I think just
now she didn't say necessarily it wasn't his type. The friend, the interviewer said the type situation, but she didn't question it. She didn't say, "Oh no, he's my type. No, he's my type." That wasn't her type, and we knew that because of the way you treated him, like he was dirt on your shoe. We saw the resentment even on your facial expression. Okay, all right, yeah. So I'm just saying. Look, I'm not. Again, this doesn't mean that she's a bad person. Karen isn't a bad person per se. You know what I mean? But you have issues with the way that you behave in this relationship. And I said this: when you found somebody else who wasn't going to do the abusive behavior, you became the abuser. And I don't mean she's actually an abuser. I just mean that in the terms of the way I'm talking, right? Oftentimes this happens where someone's been a victim in a situation, been treated badly, then they get somebody who is softer than they are, right? And Miles is not innocent. He's a people pleaser. That is for sure, and that's 100% for sure. He's a people pleaser, and that's a problem itself. So you found somebody who's a people pleaser, and then you ended up doing some damage to that person in terms of what you had experienced. So you gave it out a little bit. You know what I mean? So for me personally, again, once more, I do empathize with a point. I do sympathize with a point about the producers. That is mad for me. The fact that the producer texted her best friend about who it was is madness to me. You know what I mean? It's madness to me. The fact that the producer texted her best friend And her best friend had no option at that point but to tell Karen. I'm not, and so I understand why she might have, had a reaction at that moment. I understand why she might have had a reaction before the wedding. I would have understood if she said she wanted to quit the wedding and not go ahead. I would have understood, because if you kind of know him already, then you know what it is. Then you already know that if you like that person or don't like that person, and I get it. I'm not mad at it. I hear you, and you have a valid reason to feel the way you did. Okay, all right. And again, yeah, you're absolutely right. Listen, Miles definitely built up a resentment towards her. Miles, I said this, because he's a people pleaser. He's taken too many shots. And I've always said this: so when someone takes too many shots, just realize that it's coming back your way. Don't think you got away with it. No, 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 no. Don't think because you got away with sending them shots, you're gonna get away with it. You haven't got away with it. So let me just do this quickly. All right, you haven't got away with it. Yeah, so the amount of shots that he took, you haven't got away with it. Right? And that's the problem with a people pleaser, that when they're people pleasing, they won't tell you assertively, this is what I feel. I don't like what you did. Right? Or this is hurting me. And because it took so long to be that way, right? Because it took so long to really address certain issues, and wasn't as assertive as it needed to be. Yeah, of course, now we're in a situation. And on, like he said, it was up to decision day, he was going to choose something different. Well, the reality is, a reality situation is, Miles, could have been more assertive in that situation and handled it better. But he went on to decision day and chose her. That's also where he has to start his accountability. You knew that this woman was being disrespectful to you, didn't really feel you that same way, but you were getting gassed about the food that she was cooking and and not really taking in the fact that this person is doing things and questioning your masculinity. They are things that are destroy a marriage. And I said this from the jump. There are some things you cannot take back. Don't ever say them. There are some things in a marriage you should never, ever, ever open up your lips and your beak to say, because you can't take it back and it can't be forgiven. It will be, I wouldn't say it can't be forgiven. It can be forgiven, but it's never forgotten. And that's the issue. Okay? All right? And I think my biggest issue with Karen too is a lack of self-awareness. And I said I'll go deeper into this, into my notes, what I produced, because I was looking at stuff and I was just like, yeah, she's not even deep in that she's a problem here. Let me see if I can get this up here.
A thing that when I'm in it, stuff that I should.
My internet's playing up. I cannot win for nothing in this space. Baby. Okay, go on.
Yeah.
And so for me, like the age was a big thing, but, and this is
Sorry about that. My internet is my laptop's moving mad. But yeah. So I think in reality, she was talking about she's not a hopeless romantic. Then went on to describe herself as a hopeless romantic. It's like, sis, you was a hopeless romantic. You were boundary. She said, "Oh, only when I get into love that I feel boundaryless." Well, baby, then you are a hopeless romantic. Whether but before the relationship, I vet and I check. Do you? Because that's why the ex-boyfriends were the way they were, sis. You get what I'm saying to you, right? That's the reality there. So for me, again, I'm looking at going, you're saying one thing, but you're not realizing, baby, you're not completing what you're saying, because in reality, you are a hopeless romantic with with problems with boundaries. Okay. Anyway, so I think that'll be my final kind of points in there. Uh, this is interesting. I wanna, if I can bring this up. Nah, the internet has to allow me to do this, bro. I don't care how much they don't like it, man. We're gonna do this, okay? I want to bring this clip up here as well. And I found this quite interesting because I was like, I wonder if this is the case. So she addressed the holiday situation, guys. She addressed the holiday situation where they booked a holiday or whatever. And I wanna just quickly see if I can. It's gonna be tricky. The internet's gonna try and play me, but we're
but
gonna do
that
it.
didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's the second trip that he
Left you stranded. What was the first trip?
first trip was Dominican Republic.
Okay.
So very similar situation, but
Mhm.
ultimately we didn't end up going.
Mhm.
This time I learned my lesson from Dominican Republic and how that was handled. So
Mhm.
I went on the Dubai trip solo by
Mhm.
myself, which we didn't formally again announce anything. So it was just like, okay,
I know
Karen's
y'all
gonna
have
be
been like super
hosting.
hush.
Yeah. I know for me, like it was important to respect the place for myself where I was and
Yeah.
the fact that I'm still processing.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to say anything prematurely or announce anything prematurely.
Mhm. Did you ever think at some point that y'all would work it out?
I hoped we would,
Mhm.
but again, needing a certain level of effort,
Yeah.
needing a certain level of accountability.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna be honest, there are still some days where I feel like I'm waiting on that, right?
Yeah.
Not in a sense of like, oh, I think like we'll be back together because I think
Yeah.
like it's just been too much too long now. But
Do you feel like gaslit? Is that a word? Is gaslit the word?
I need you to stop. Get that. I tell the interviewer to stop. Do you feel gaslit? Are you all right? You feel gaslit? What? Because he, and here's my thing, right? Here's my thing. I'm not gonna defend Miles like he's innocent. I'm not. What I'm gonna say is, right. I don't know about this. I don't know about this trip. This trip that they took, right? It sounds like they weren't together. It sounds like they were separated. It sounds like there were some issues that were going on at the time. But she said it like he abandoned her. I was like, wait, what? He abandoned you, or is it the fact that you guys were not in the right place and he didn't want to go on a trip with you, right? 'Cause that's slightly different. You get what I'm saying to you. If you guys, I don't know 100% because we haven't told it the whole way through. So is it that you guys were not? Because if you were together and then you decided not to go on a trip, then he abandoned you. But if you weren't together and it's just a rocky period of point in time, did you guys have a discussion? Did you talk about this before he decided to drop out? What was the conversation that was had? That's what I want to know. You know what I mean? Before I jump on anybody's side, you know what I'm saying? But the word she used was I was abandoned. That's how she felt. That don't mean that's how it was. So I'm gonna honor the feeling, but I'm not gonna honor the fact it's a fact yet until I hear more details from herself. Then she went on to say, obviously, the fact that I was waiting for accountability. I'm waiting for your accountability. I'm waiting for her accountability. You know what I mean? I'm waiting for her accountability. You know, 100, 1 hour and 20 minutes, not one shred. And listen, I am really not playing with you. I will encourage you guys to go watch it. In fact, let me put the link in the chat. Go and watch it. There was not an ounce of accountability. Nothing to say, you know what? I can see where maybe I had my faults in the relationship and maybe, I was looking at things differently. No, all it was very subtle, uh, passive, kind of inclinations and indications that Miles was the one at fault. But rather than looking at deeper and going, baby, what is it? Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like she doesn't really realize that she has contributed towards this relationship downfall. And Miles, again, like I said, Miles himself needs to look at the reason why he said yes on decision day, because why would you? This girl had treated you poorly and badly. You know, so why would you have gone into this marriage? I don't understand. I think she said that. Was that in the marriage? I thought that was to do with even just her family life. I thought that was, yeah. She said about that wasn't to do with Miles. That was to do with the show. To say that she wished she had advocated for herself better when they did the whole text situation during the show. Nothing to do with Miles. Anything to do with Miles, she has not taken any accountability. We're yet to see it. Yet to see any of that. Any of the interviews they've done, none. Whew, baby. Okay. I'm gonna love you, leave it. I want to keep short this one. Like I said, it was just a quick review. I'll do a longer breakdown maybe a little bit later, but make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of uploads. We appreciate you. Jessica, you've hit the nail on the head. I think there's some codependency on her. And that's probably a big thing as well. So definitely codependency, and we know that codependence can end up becoming manipulative too. So codependents are not innocent. Codependents can end up being very manipulative as well. So, let's I won't put that past, as well. But to be fair to her, as she said, she's now got to a better place where she feels like she can now take up space. And I am all for one appreciative of that. And I know that is a part of growth as well. As well. So, I think that's a big part of it. Yeah, I think she does. She does believe that she definitely loved him all the way through, and she doesn't realize that even though you were loving him, there were parts of your behavior that were very unloving. So, like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of uploads. We appreciate you. I think the reason why they say codependency, Tatiana, is because she was looking after a sick parent. She was a carer from a very young age, and that's why they were saying that. As well. But anyway, we'll see you guys soon.